Oh, hey, you! Yeah, you up there! Look down here in the long grass! It's me, Eurogamer's Ian Higton, and I'm currently hiding from that massive creepy dude back there with the torch. Turns out he wants to kill me because I stole his favourite box, cut some eye holes in it, and then made it into a hat. But I mean, come on, how was I supposed to know this was where he kept his mother's ashes? Jeez! Anyway, as you can see, he's super big, and for some reason, I'm like ultra small now, so this is a very scary situation to be in. It's almost like it's a little nightmare or something.
Yikes. I wasn't always in such a perilous situation though. I only ended up there after I went hands-on with a demo of Little Nightmares 2, where I played through the very first chapter of the game. In the following fact-filled video, I'll be showing off about 15 minutes worth of brand new gameplay footage from that level, and I'll be letting you know 7 important things that you need to know about the game before it releases sometime this year. The first thing you'll notice about Little Nightmares 2, if you're familiar with the first game that is that the player character for this sequel is not the same as it was in the first game. In the original Little Nightmares, you played the Raincoat Sporting Six, but in Little Nightmares 2, you'll take control of Mono, a young boy who wears a paper bag over his head.
Not sure that a paper bag will have the same weather protection as a raincoat, to be honest, but hey-ho, who am I to lecture other people on their fashion choices? Hey.
For some unknown reason, Mono here needs to make his way from this forest through to the city to reach something called the Black Tower. This tower is controlled by a mysterious antagonist known as the Broadcaster, and it's probably a safe bet to say that this person has something to do with the spooky television theme that's been prevalent in the game's trailers. In fact, right at the start of the forest level, Mono wakes up next to a TV that, for a second at least, is broadcasting a very strange signal. But what is that signal? And what does it mean? Well, to me, that almost looks like someone running their hand over the top of the long grass in front of the screen. Does that mean the broadcaster has the ability to physically manifest themselves through TV screens like Sadako from the Ring movies? I bloody hope not, because, well, that'd be terrifying. Contrary to what you may be thinking after hearing my first point, it's not actually necessary to have played the first Little Nightmares in order to enjoy this sequel. Obviously, a bit of backstory knowledge might help you understand the lore and character motivations, but the game won't punish you if you haven't followed Six's journey and you're not familiar with the ins and outs of the previous game. Also, in terms of gameplay, this introductory chapter starts you off very slowly, which is of course great for newcomers to the Nightmares, but it also acts as a bit of a refresher course for more experienced players who may have forgotten the controls.
The first part of this forest chapter actually has some pretty big Limbo vibes, especially as Mono wakes up all alone in the middle of this creepy deserted woodland. Although, to be fair, I think I'd rather be on my own right now, rather than having this a-hole hunting me down.
At first, this whole setting is just plain eerie, with some superb sound design creating a haunting feeling of loneliness. But as Mono makes his way to the right, things start getting ultra dark as he passes a hanging trap full of rotting dead bodies. The floor beside it is littered with the discarded shoes of those that perished in that trap, and it's here that the classic, ominous Little Nightmares atmosphere really starts to ramp up. This intro section of the game will teach you how to jump, climb, push, and of course avoid obstacles that will easily kill you in an instant if you don't pay enough attention to your surroundings.
And believe you me, I'm telling you this from experience, because I died quite a lot.
Puzzle solving and level navigation in Little Nightmares 2 feels very similar to the first game, and in this early snippet at least, the way you survive and push forwards is pretty much identical. That means there's going to be plenty of climbing and swinging puzzles mixed with surprise moments of peril that will require you to think on your feet, lest you become squished by a log or another addition to the many dead bodies that hang from the trees. One big gameplay mechanic that you'll learn here is to use thrown objects as ways to trigger traps. There are many hidden hazards in this forest, and if you're not paying attention in this early part, it won't be long until you're crushed to death by the jagged jaw of a rusty bear trap. This leads to one of my standout moments of this level, where Mono uses a stick and then an assortment of pine cones in order to trigger a series of bear traps so that he can safely pass through the forest. This results in a cool but terrifying chain reaction as a metal minefield that's been camouflaged by a layer of autumn leaves is slowly uncovered by some choice throws. Unlike the events in the original Little Nightmares, you're not on your own for long in this sequel, as once Mono makes his way into this creepy cabin in the woods here, he soon hears a sound that leads him to a rather familiar face. That small child playing the music box there is Six, the protagonist of the original game, although there's no real clue as to how she got here or what's happened to her signature raincoat. In Little Nightmares 2, Mono is slightly stronger than Six was in her game, and as such, he's able to free Six from her confinement by grabbing a heavy axe and using it to smash his way through the door. Once inside, it takes Six a little while to warm to Mono, but at this point we can see that, if you count each mark on the wall as one day, she's been trapped in this room for about 40 days.
Oh, bloody hell. I hope I'm not stuck here for that long, because I've been busting for a wee for like an hour now. Oh.
Six quickly makes a dash for the door, but once Mono finally catches up with her, it quickly becomes apparent that you're going to need to work with each other in order to escape this shack. It's always a bit of a worry having to rely on a computer-controlled AI partner, but Six seems to be rather intelligent here, and she knew when to push things, when to pull things, and when to be in the right position to give Mono a leg up. If done badly, this kind of situation could lead to some real moments of frustration for the player as they wait for Six to realise what she needs to do. But for me, she was always ready when I needed her, and it was always my fault if I balked a puzzle and not the other way around. As much as I did love the original game, the controls in Little Nightmares were a source of fury for me on multiple occasions. It often felt like Six would jump somewhere other than where I was aiming, which led to some unfair deaths, or she wouldn't grab onto things that I could have sworn I was facing, like ladders or other climbable surfaces.
Honestly, one of the only things that's made me rage more than the controls from the original game was in Fall Guys the other day when I died in Block Party with 0 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, that was close. Get up! Get up, little man! Oh, fuck.
The controls in Little Nightmares 2 seem much fairer this time around, and I encountered none of those issues from the first game, even when I was inside the shack, a place where clambering about the environment felt the most like it did in the original game. That's not to say I didn't mess up a few jumps or get insta-killed a couple of times, but this time it felt way more like user error than anything else. Just like the original Little Nightmares, the visuals in this game are super moody, and they're great at creating a very unsettling atmosphere. As this is a game where there's pretty much no dialogue at all, the world building and environmental storytelling is on point, and there are loads of clues lying around which help tell the dark story of this weird world. From the start of the level, where little cages and traps litter the forest floor, through to the interior of the cabin, which is full of freaky mannequins, there's a lot here that'll help you build up a picture in your mind as to what exactly is going on. The creepiest thing in this whole demo, though, had to be the hunter, who spends the second half of the level stalking you relentlessly.
Seriously, this prick is like a cross between the chainsaw guys from Resident Evil 4 and the T-1000. He just does not give up easily. Do you big bastard?
The hunter comes armed with a shotgun that will kill you with one shot. So, in this section of the game, you'll need to avoid the light from his torch if you don't want a shotgun blast to the face. Avoiding the hunter can be done in many ways, from diving behind cover just before he shoots at you, to hiding in the long grass and making a dash for it when he's not looking. Be warned though, there's absolutely no reasoning with the hunter, and he will shoot on sight. And finally, the last thing you need to know about Little Nightmares 2 is that there are unlockable hats. I'm not allowed to tell you anything about any of those hats, except for the little raccoon skin one that I found hidden in a room in the shack, but when you do find some new headwear and you fancy giving Mono a bit of a fresh look, you can easily swap between hats at any point in the game by bringing up the pause menu.
I mean, come on. Who says you can't try to look your best, even when you are being hunted by a giant sack-headed mass murderer with a shotgun?
And that's basically all you need to know about Little Nightmares 2 at the moment. I really enjoyed playing through this first chapter of the sequel, even though it didn't really try anything too different from the first game. But honestly, I did appreciate that extra bit of polish on it that made it feel much more satisfying to play.
If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like, do subscribe to Eurogamer for daily videos about video games, and maybe check out one of these other lovely list features that are on screen right now, while I continue to cower in the grass here. Honestly, Why he's not got bored yet is anyone's guess. But at least I don't need the toilet anymore, though. Could have done with that doing it in my trousers, of course, but when it's a choice between that or buckshot, it's bye-bye clean clothes every time.